All right, so welcome and thank you for joining us today. We are going to get started with the CDW and Commvault webinar. First and foremost, I'd like to introduce myself. My name is Brian Matthews. I'm a Senior Manager of Solutions at CDW Canada. In my role, I lead a team of solution architects across many different areas of the hybrid cloud, including infrastructure, public cloud, security, digital transformation, collaboration, and some other key areas of focus for us. So I'm really excited to be able to kick off today's webinar. We've got a couple of great speakers from Commvault that I will quickly pass the ball over to in a few minutes. But just to kind of dive in, or before we dive in, a couple of quick housekeeping items. If you do have any questions, we are very happy and would be very happy to take the questions throughout the webinar. So please throw those into the chat. We'll have a chance at the end for some Q&A. If we don't get to any of the questions, we can absolutely follow up with you via your account manager. And if you're looking for a more individualized or personal conversation, please feel free to reach out to myself or any member of the team on the call today or your account team. We can get that set up. So just to kind of quickly kick it off on the next slide. CDW, who are we? What do we do? We are the leading IT solutions and services partner in Canada. And how we do that is really integrate and manage technologies to help customers achieve their outcomes. So if we go to the next slide, one of the really important things about CDW and CDW Canada for our customers and our partners and even our internal team to understand is we have been evolving at an incredibly fast pace. And we are not unique. Lots of businesses are evolving. Lots of businesses are being forced to evolve. You know, the economic climate, the business pressures, you know, depending on what type of segment or industry you're in, are really forcing organizations to reinvent how they go to market and the value that they provide to their customers. When we think about what that means to CDW, we've always had a long track record and just a really consistent track record of strong financial performance. And what that means is we've been able to reinvest back into the business in incremental skill sets, capabilities, to deepen our technical expertise, to deepen our services expertise. You know, when we were first founded in the mid 80s, you know, the technology requirements for organizations were much different back then, right? A lot more products were needed. You know, a lot of the, you know, advanced services solution, a lot of the security work that we do now just wasn't a part of that landscape. So one acquisition that I would call out that really matters in Canada to our Canadian customers is what you see there in 2019 when we acquired a company called Scalar Decisions. Scalar was a very reputable, very large, very successful solution provider in Canada. Their brand was really about having the smartest and deepest technical expertise, having a fantastic professional services delivery and managed services capabilities, both with a SOC in downtown Toronto and a NOC out in Calgary. And that really complemented the business that CDW Canada had nurtured over the years. You know, some of the other acquisitions, I think, tell that same story about us deepening our technical expertise. Apteris in 2019 was a ServiceNow elite partner. More recently, actually on Canada Day 2020, we acquired ING and simultaneously Cloud39. So I think you can see where our investments are going, where our focus and strategy is. If we go to the next slide, if we look at CDW holistically, we are a large organization, Fortune 200 organization based out of Lincolnshire, Illinois, so just a northern suburb of Chicago. We, as CDW Canada, are a wholly owned subsidiary, you know, that stand on our own two feet and get to make decisions in market for our Canadian organization. You know, globally, $18 billion of net sales, 250,000 customers internationally. I think that's probably the stat that I personally am most proud of. You know, every customer, whether they're in Canada or whether they're anywhere else in the world, have lots of choices that are in front of them in where they go to, you know, get technical expertise, to, you know, get solutions support, to look out for a trusted advisor. We're very proud of the 250,000 customers globally and the 30,000 plus customers in Canada that choose to work with CDW. So a little bit about our breadth and our expertise there. And then kind of finally on the last slide, if we dig into what the new CDW is all about, and the new CDW is, you know, the combination of the Scalar organization that's been integrated into our business, there's really three things that I think are paramount for customers to understand. First, in the old world, we had one main office at CDW based out of Etobicoke, Ontario, which is a suburb of of Toronto, right between Pearson International Airport and downtown Toronto. We had field resources spread across the country as CDW, but we did not have brick and mortar offices. With the acquisition of Scalar Decisions, right now we have a physical brick and mortar location with not only salespeople, but with delivery and with pre-sales technical experts, as well as leadership and senior leadership across the country. So we are now more local than we've ever been. So, for our Vancouver customers, Calgary, Edmonton, Winnipeg, Ottawa, Montreal, we have a lot more in-region expertise, in-region experience that we can help. The second point I would bring up that I mentioned already was the pre-sales technical expertise. My team was all of the pre-sales technical expertise pre-acquisition. That was about 40 people in Canada. With the acquisition of Scalar, that number is now close to 100 pre-sales technical experts across all facets of the technology landscape. And third, but definitely not least, is our services maturity. Pre-acquisition, most of our services were done through third-party vetted services organizations, and that was okay. But now with the acquisition of Scalar Decision, we've added our own internal both PS professional services and managed services bench in-house, which just makes it easier for us to hold ourselves accountable and deliver the best support and service possible to our customers. So I wanted to be really brief because I want to get to the stars of the show today, which is absolutely not me. It is both Michael and Zach from Commvault. So just to pass it over to them, Mike joined Commvault in 2008 as a support technician. After support, moved to the inside team to demonstrate Commvault and its value, then moved into a field role, and then finally joined Metallica in June 2020. So big welcome to Michael Prisbaz and also Zach, Senior Product Marketing Manager at Metallica. Zach joined Commvault in May as a Senior Product Marketing Manager for Metallica. Prior to that, he spent a decade as a product marketer in technology where he supported various solutions and platforms across the HR, field service, and chemical industries. So without further ado, I will absolutely like to pass it over to the team. And thank you again for joining us.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Brian, and echo that sentiment. I know Michael and myself are both super excited to be here. We know 30 minutes, much less an hour of everybody's day, is super valuable, so happy you're spending it here with CDW and Metallica. So in terms of today, what we're going through is Endpoint and Office 365 data protection for the remote work era. If we take a quick peek here at our agenda for the day, we're really going to give an overview of the current state of backup and recovery and the needs there within, why backup as a service data protection is specifically important and the benefits that it provides. Overview as well, Office 365 and Endpoint solutions with Metallica, as well as a live demo, and then we'll open it up for Q&A at the end, as Brian had mentioned there. So with that being said, let's hop on in. So in terms of the new state, right, how many folks, by a show of hands, right, everybody would probably have their hands up on the line, are a little bit over and have fatigue of this phrase, hey, we're in unprecedented times. I know for one, I do. However, I think IDC came out with a great stat that said about 12% of organizations were prepared for the pandemic, specifically the post implications of the workplace model. And what this has really caused in this new state of remote work is CIOs to reshuffle their deck, right? They have this immense pressure right now to be able to provide an environment that helps their folks be productive really from anywhere, to not miss a beat. And it's caused them to reshuffle the deck, rethink about their strategies, and we'll get into data protection in a moment, but holistically, it's really causing a number of different drivers within the organization. First and foremost, need to be able to drive borderless productivity, right? Shareholders don't care, organizations don't care that this pandemic has happened. They need the same amount of productivity that we had yesterday, today, wherever our employees are. A really renewed focus to stabilize critical infrastructure, right? So what is the lifeblood of our organization? Making sure we fortify those systems and infrastructure so that we can continue to run. The acceleration for the journey to the cloud. So every CIO admittedly would say, hey, we're cloud first or cloud centric. This pandemic has really accelerated that journey, and folks who were adopting at a rapid speed have only further accelerated that journey to try and get nimble and flexible as they go. And it's all in this vein of having a renewed business focus around continuity, right? No matter what tomorrow holds, we need to make sure we're nimble, we're reactive, that we can support our business for whatever tomorrow's times bring. And really, what's happened from a data protection standpoint is we see a 1-2-3 punch happening. And where that's really impacted us is data sprawl, right? With this newly remote workforce, we have more data at the edge than ever. We have this large surface area of data across our estate with new remote workers, new SaaS applications, new environments that all house data. And it's creating this massive surface area that needs to be protected. And that's only further compounded by the fact that risks are up. Unfortunately, in challenging times, bad actors really amplify their efforts. And we're not talking about modest increase, a couple percentage points. We're talking 200-300%. Ransomware is on a meteoric rise, unfortunately, because bad actors see this state of flux as the ability to potentially take advantage of organizations. So the amount of data and the data that you have to protect, compounded with those risks, really increases the responsibility and liability for the organization. You have new endpoints, you have new SaaS apps like Office 365, new considerations that you have to protect from new threats that really weighs on the organization. Now, what we're seeing in terms of our industry is backup as a service really being a fit for changing times to help address those concerns that were mentioned on the previous slide, but also support that new model that CIOs are striving for, being able to rapidly implement with remote management, but not sacrifice the breadth of coverage across your workloads, to have advanced tools to be able to protect and mitigate threats, but at the same point in time, support a hybrid environment so that you're reducing your footprint and moving to the cloud and doing it at scale, right? Knowing that we're going to have to grow tomorrow and in the future and not have this be an impediment upon that trajectory. And a huge benefit as well is long-term savings. Now, in our industry specifically, a lot of folks had self-manage or installed software before. And what that really meant was there were a lot of considerations and burdens on IT, from the infrastructure and hardware to manage, from the administration time that it took to nurse that environment, whether it be specific really related to maintenance or upgrades or just ongoing maintenance for your hardware, right? That's all removed. You look at compute and network, that's now being hosted by your vendor, and things like storage, right? Zero egress fees with flexible storage options and really a flexible, transparent subscription model. So backup as a service has really cemented itself not only as a viable solution to be able to prevent from today's threats and deliver upon the CIO's new initiatives, but also to give this bottom line benefit with a really, really tight consumption model. So with that being said, I'm going to flip over here to Michael, who's going to walk through the Metallica solution portfolio. Let me just stop sharing my screen here for 1 second.
All right, cool. So like I was saying, Metallica is just a Commvault subdivision. So it's not a company we acquired. It's not built from the ground up. It's just native Commvault. So 20 years of proven technology at enterprise grade level. It's very, very good. It's very fast. So, Metallica has really been proven to safeguard from deletion, corruption, ransomware. The data is always recoverable. It's a nice thing about a SaaS solution. You don't have to worry about, feet on the floor, rack and stack servers, maintenance, upgrades, things like that. We take care of everything from a maintenance standpoint because it's a fully SaaS service. So with Metallica, you get everything you would get from a enterprise grade level backup software in a full SaaS service. So we do offer 3 products. As you can see, we have the core backup recovery, the endpoint, desktop laptops, and then the Office 365. And today we're just going to really focus on that remote workforce, just because everything, today with the pandemic, people are working from home, Teams is blowing up. People are sharing stuff on their desktops, laptops that they're not supposed to, if they're supposed to put it in a home drive. So there's a lot more data spread across different parts of people's not only home environments, but also, network environments. So it's easier for attackers to get in and compromise stuff. And having that true secondary backup of your data somewhere else is really, to keep it safeguarded. So with the Endpoint and Office 365 solution, it comes a full SaaS service because everything is hosted in Azure, and we give you unlimited storage with that. So with the unlimited storage, we don't care how much data is going in, how much data is coming out. We cover all those ingress, egress charges. From the Office 365 perspective, we also give you unlimited retention. So that means if you want to keep the data forever, you have it forever. So it doesn't matter, if you need to legal hold operations or anything like that. It just will always secure the data, as much data as you want in the back end. It's there for you. Endpoint side of things, we give you 1 year retention, but you still get that unlimited storage, full SaaS service. There's no infrastructure, so it's easy. The product is really meant to be set up in 15 minutes or less. I said it, truth, set it and forget it product, and then fire away, back up your stuff, and then it's there for restores. And as you can see, we cover a broad range of infrastructure too. So it's that true Commvault technology. Kind of how it works from the Office 365 perspective, it is a wide coverage. So we cover, Exchange Online, SharePoint, OneDrive, Teams, group mailboxes, shared mailboxes, and plus Project Online. So it's all captured under that user price. Nice and easy. You don't have to worry about storage or any type of infrastructure. That's the best thing about it, because you're not installing proxy servers. It's just more of a point and click, wizard-driven product where it's set up fast. And then the recoverability, that's the biggest thing, is being able to get my data back. God forbid there was a ransomware attack. Somebody compromised my OneDrive account. I need that data back. How fast can I get it back? And with the granular availability of the product, we can get those, email messages, OneDrive files, even Teams information back as fast as possible. And it helps you and protects you against the actual ransomware. All the data is encrypted with AES 256-bit encryption in flight and at rest. It's all taken care of on the back end, and especially on the Azure side of things. So your data is secure. It's taking that actual nice secondary copy of your data from the Azure services and put it into your own tenant that you would subscribe from on a Metallic side of things. Endpoint, same thing. The one good thing I like to point about the endpoint protection for your desktop laptops is that the remote workforce. People are using stuff at their homes, really not paying attention to dropping things on their home drive. If they're supposed to put something in their OneDrive, they don't. It lands locally on that laptop, and God forbid it ever get compromised. With the Metallic product, we can secure that laptop. Not only that, we give you file anomaly detection on top of it. So God forbid a laptop was ever compromised, lost, or stolen, we will let you know, alert you, and tell you, hey, something's been deleted, moved, encrypted. You might want to take it offline. Let's do a restore. With that, we also give you geolocation capabilities. So if that laptop was ever left on a plane or stolen out of your car or something like that, we can actually do a secure remote wipe from anywhere in the world to delete that data, encrypt it, and so nobody can get into the laptop, and then we can restore from the latest backup. We have single sign-on capabilities. So if we need to, use Okta or SAML, ADFS, we can to make it more secure. And we also give a little bit of self-service too. So if you have specific end users, you want to give them rights, we can then have them restore their own files and folders so you can go about your day and, do other projects instead of constantly looking at tickets and doing restores for other people. So with that, let's go ahead and jump into the demo. I will bring up my lab environment. Just let me make sure you can see this because I should be sharing the whole screen. Looks good?
Looks good. All
right, awesome. So as you can see, this is the hub. This is what you would get when you log in. There's nothing that needs to be installed on the actual infrastructure side of things from a Metallic standpoint. It's a URL you log onto, which is hub.metallic.io. And for the first time, if you use the product, you would get your storage notification, and we'll provision your storage based on your location. So if you have offices in the US or even in Canada, we're going to provision the data, the storage in Canada. It'll only stay in Canada. It's not going to go outside region or anything like that. But it's also, we're global. So if you do have other offices elsewhere, the data is always going to stay based on GDPR rules and things like that. This kind of gives you your day-to-day view. As you can see, you have the single pane of glass. So you get all three tabs of the product. You don't have to use everything at once. You can turn things on as you want, or license it, I should say. But from an Office 365 perspective, kind of gives you a little general overview of your managed data sources. So it's your mailboxes, your users, and then sites, which are SharePoint, and then what plans are associated to those specific users and or mailboxes. Down here is a little bit of a resource page. As you can see, you can create users and or compliance officers because we do offer e-discovery for the endpoint and Office 365. So if you needed to do any legal hold operations, we can go ahead and secure that data for you. your documentation, and then your view tickets or submit a ticket. And that ticketing system goes straight to Commvault support, so it's not a third-party vendor. It's still that you'll get that same great support from a Commvault perspective, just because everything is Commvault. The back end is the comm serves, the media agents, it's all the same stuff from that enterprise-grade solution. Now, as far as configuration, this is the fun part because it's easy. There's nothing you have to do from your point other than clicking and telling us what you want to do. So here you can configure the Exchange, OneDrive, and SharePoint. If you do click on this is just going to take us into the backend Commvault Command Center, which is the HTML5 interface, and then this is where you can do the configuration. Two ways you can deploy this. The Express configuration, which actually creates all the Azure AD apps automatically, takes about a minute, and then you're done. We authorize the applications, you're good to go. That uses a global administrator account. If you want to create your own service accounts, we can use the custom configuration, create the service accounts on the back end, create the Graph API, assign all the permissions, come back here, put the secret key in and your application ID, and we can connect that way. That sometimes takes about an hour just because it's so much manual intervention. Once we do have that connection, as you can see, here's my items. I can click into my mail. Now I can do a couple things here. I can add users manually. The reason why I like showing this is because now I can take a user and assign its own retention to it. So based on best practices, when we built this, we automatically put a 5, a 7, and an infinite year retention plan here for you to pick from so you don't have to think. We make it easy for you. And you can do this per user. So each user can have their own separate retention, which is great. If you want to tie a retention to a group, so maybe an AD group or something like that, you can really get pretty granular. You can also create your own retention policy. So here I can retain my data for whatever amount of time I want to. If it's 1 year, 2 years, 30 days, you really can get granular and set specific retention based on your needs. Once we do have the data ingested and backed up, as you can see, here's my mailboxes. Restores are very straightforward. We give you the entire mailbox, or we can just restore messages. These messages are great because now we can just crack into maybe the inbox or restore a team chat file that's under the conversation history. It gets granular. So if I wanted to restore something from my inbox, I can actually click these messages, and now I have a couple different ways I can restore. If I need to do a global search, I have that option too. So now I can search to and from subject line as well. So it gives you that cool global search index stuff that's all done on the back end. So there's nothing you have to do from an infrastructure standpoint. As far as restores, I can export this to a PST or CAB file. That just brings that back to .msg file. I can delete the data from an administrator standpoint if I want to. We also include the deleted items. The deleted items is, God forbid, somebody did a shift delete, the garbage bin on the back end that Microsoft secures. We back that up, and now we have your data, so it's always going to get captured. We can also restore in place to the same user's mailbox, or we can go to a different folder and or another user. So now we just gave you 4 different options you can restore from. Not only that, you can bring your data back to on-prem. No ingress egress charges. We don't care how much data is going in, how much data is going out. But now if you needed to restore this stuff to a PST or export it, we have you covered there. So it's easy, it's simple, it's fast. Same thing with OneDrive. OneDrive, it's the only other application that needs that global account or your service accounts because of those Graph APIs in the back end. We'll create them, authenticate, and then we can get in there and back up the drives. The only difference I like to point out too with this and SharePoint is we automatically keep your data forever. So you don't get a chance, you don't have the option to change the retention. We just keep the data forever. I mean, that's great. You never have to worry about your data ever be gone, because we take care of it. And with that unlimited storage in the back end, it really helps utilize, that retention period. So we do have the default, which is your catch-all. So every time the job runs, we're going to add any new users. And then once we do have those users ingested, we can go ahead and restore. Restore is pretty straightforward, kind of like the mailbox level backups. We can restore the whole drive, or we can get in and just restore messages. There's my team chat files that I might have shared a PowerPoint presentation in a channel or a group chat or a private chat. That gets all secured there. We can do point-in-time restore capabilities as well. So if you need to do any version from the beginning of time, we capture all the versions. There's no limit. And then we can also go and restore these messages back in place. We can go to a different user. Anybody that has a OneDrive account, we can dump the data to. But again, bring that back as a file location. So if you install one of our packages on-prem, we can take that data and bring it home. Nice and simple. It's easy, easy, easy. And then SharePoint is the only other application that doesn't need a global administrator account. It just uses a SharePoint admin. We connect to the tenant URL. We back up everything by default. So as you can see here, our default's to catch all. We like to make the product easy. So, I keep saying it's a set it and forget it product. It really is, because once you configure it, you just let the schedule go. These backups run 3 times a day, so it's every 8 hours. You don't have to worry about it. We have some cool reporting features and things like that that you can set up and schedule to really know that your stuff is running, so you don't have to constantly sit behind a screen all day and make sure your backups are running. So once we do get the SharePoint data ingested and backed up, we can do a restore. So just by right-clicking, we can click restore. And when it does this restore, a couple different things we can do. We can restore everything, so the entire site if I want to. I can then also get granular, restore maybe just a list out of this site if I wanted to, but also I can crack into the shared documents. So now I can bring back these files. I can see all my versions. Again, point time capabilities on everything, so you can go back to a specific version from your first backup ever, and then restore. God forbid, another version was compromised. And then the restore capabilities we give you on this, we can go back to the same server. We can go to a disk location. So now we bring back the native file and or the original file, so we can bring that back home for you. And then we can also go add a place to a different site or subsite. So if you create like a test or dev area, we can drop that at the root, and then you can move the data around if you wanted to from there. And that's it. That's how fast it would be to set up an Office 365 application from either OneDrive, Mail, and SharePoint, and your data is secure and backed up. And if you ever had to restore from it, or God forbid there was ever a ransomware attack, at least your data is secure and recoverable. So from the second, or I should say, the other remote workforce application is your endpoint. So desktop laptops, very easy to deploy as well. We have a couple different ways we can deploy this. So this is everything we do cover: Linux, Mac, any Windows 64, 32-bit. The end user can download it themselves, or the administrator can give it to the end user. They can install it themselves. It's really just a couple clicks and it's installed. Or we can push this stuff out through Active Directory using JAMF or SCCM as well. So nice silent install, and the end user will not know it's being installed. Once we do have those registered, we'll be able to see them in the command center, and then from there we can do some backups, restores, or whatever we need to. But if we needed to see geolocation, or the last time that laptop was either backed up or where it's located, we use that Wi-Fi signal, so that geolocation. And the reason for that is we can mark it as lost. So this is that option I was telling you, God forbid it was ever lost, stolen, or compromised. We can say mark it as lost. It'll ask you if you want to delete the data. You say yes, it'll actually delete the data. So if the laptop doesn't come on for a couple days or a couple weeks or months or whatever, as soon as we grab that location, once it powers up, they don't even have to log into it or anything. We will go ahead and initiate that secure remote wipe, delete all the data, and it's good. It works. I've tested it a bunch of times on some of my old laptops just to really put it through some stress tests, and it really does work. Content could be changed by administrators, but that's everything we back up by default. These backups run every 24 hours, unlimited storage in the back end, up to 1 year retention. But the restore capabilities are pretty straightforward too. So this just uses our Commvault file system agent, where it captures everything. And if you need to restore all the files, we can. If you need to restore just a file or folder, we can. So it gets pretty granular. It allows you to go in place and add a place restore as well. So as you can see, I can restore all my drives. I can download the stuff local to this machine I'm on. I can do my search for files and folders, or a file type if I wanted to look for images. So you still get that global search feature without any infrastructure ever put into your environment. And then we can also get granular and restore just a particular piece. Restore options we get: you can go in place, add a place. So you can pick another machine. If I had one here, I'd be able to dump it to. And then we can also restore to different files and folders as well on a different machine. Self-service wise, which is pretty cool, we can give end user self-service. What you do is you give them a login to the hub. It would be a user, so that means they can't see anything else but their web console. And then they would get a My Data tab. On this My Data tab, it's going to take them into the laptop, as long as they're an owner to the laptop. And now they can go ahead and restore their own laptop. So here's a good thing: God forbid, again, if that laptop was ever lost or stolen, or I have kids, they're always around me with juice boxes, spilling stuff all over the place, blows up my laptop, but I need a file because, I don't have that laptop. I can go to any machine, log onto this web console, and now I can start restoring stuff right from, wherever I am. I can download it locally. I can restore it to that original computer if it was there, but I can also go to my other machine that I just had built and then restore those files back. So it really gives you some pretty cool self-service features and functionality. So from a Office 365 and endpoint standpoint, that is Metallic in a nutshell. That's how easy it is to set up. Again, no infrastructure, no downtime, no nothing. Set it, forget it, point, click, shoot, and you're good to go. And I will stop talking, and I'm going to pass it back over to Zach.
Thank you there, Mike. So in one short year, when we set out to deliver Metallic, our goal and what gets us out of the bed in the morning is to really focus on making our customers' lives easier. And the response to Metallic has really been resounding, from endpoints to Office 365, even Core, which we haven't touched upon, having real customer feedback that helps. Obviously, this solution helps them get through their day, allow them to provide really pristine coverage for their data, but make their lives easier. This is what really gets us excited, and really a great proof point here as we had this journey throughout the year. Next slide, Mike. And while we are customer-centric, and Commvault has a very long documented history here within data protection, I believe 9 years running as a leader in our space, recognized by Gartner in the Magic Quadrant. Metallic in its own right is turning heads. So although we're always customer centric, it is great to have some acknowledgement from the peers as we go throughout this journey here. Next slide, Mike. And one last thing here that I'll leave you guys with is we had probably in the early summer, we had announced an expanded partnership with Microsoft. Now, Commvault and Microsoft has been partners for the better part of 2 decades. This partnership really expanded our relationship for both Metallic and Azure, and really what's coming out from this partnership and down the pike here is new innovations as we have synergies across our portfolios, new co-engineering efforts, as well as new go-to-market and sales strategies. And if I could go to the next slide here, it's actually manifested itself in a current promotion that we're running that's available via CDW. So for every 3 users that you purchase, you now get 1 free. And this exclusive limited time offer is part of the partnership with Metallic and Microsoft, and it covers the 2 solutions that we had mentioned today. But again, this is a great time if you're interested in getting involved with Metallic. We have this exclusive promotion running right now through CDW, so it's a great way to get involved with this exclusive discount here. And final slide here, Mike. And just to let you guys know, if you want to experience Metallic SaaS, if you want to see it for yourself, we have a number of different options, and I'll go ahead and drop this in the chat here. But you can always sign up for a personalized demo and arrange a demo, or you could trial it for free. We have a 30-day no obligation free trial that is available as well. So I'll drop both of those into the chat window here. But if you're looking to experience Metallic for yourself or see it firsthand, 2 great options to potentially get involved with Metallic. And I believe that would be it for us here, moving into Q&A. So Brian, I know we had a couple questions that had come in prior to, and it looks like a few had matriculated as well. Anything that we have on the line there?
Yeah, so let me just quickly get these questions.
And while we're queuing them up, I just dropped into the chat for all attendees the links there for arranging a demo and the free trial there. So everybody should see that in the chat window now.
Sorry, I'm just having a little technical issues on my side.
No problem, Brian. So maybe we get started here with some of the Q&A that had come through in the chat here. So I see a few here on the line. Mike, we have a question on the line in regards to tenants. Can Metallic reside in our Azure tenant or at least our data?
No. So the tenant that we offer, it would be your own tenant from a Metallic side of thing, but you can't bring your own storage and or tenant from Metallic. We handle everything for you. as far as the infrastructure, the storage in the back end. So it goes to the Metallic services.
Okay.
Okay, that's for Office 365 and Endpoint. If you're talking about maybe core servers, VMs, file servers, and things like that, then you can bring your own storage, either Azure or AWS.
Okay, perfect. We had another question in regards to licensing model. So what is our licensing model? And I can handle that one. It is user-based licensing. We have a very transparent licensing model. Everything's published on our website, but would recommend also engaging with your CDW representative for more details on pricing. And the last one we have here is any integration with Microsoft information protection, Mike.
No, not yet. It's possible roadmap. How far out, I'm not 100% sure.
Okay. Perfect.
Okay, and then I've got a couple other questions that also came up, so I'll throw these at you guys. First question was, should we back up endpoint in anywhere, any place, any device, world? Question mark.
Yes, and yes. So we go based on location, geolocation, and all that stuff. So I mean, if you have users and stuff traveling and things like that or whatever, since we use that geolocation, we're going to back up the data automatically once we get that hook. So it doesn't matter anywhere you are in the world located, it's going to send the data only based on your location and what your tenant is. So data that's supposed to stay in the U.S. will always stay in the U.S. even if you're overseas. And then if you are an overseas customer and you come to the U.S., vice versa, the data is only going to stay where it's supposed to, so it never goes cross geo or anything like that.
Okay, and then this one, fairly relevant just based on the global pandemic that's going on. But what is being done to secure corporate access to personal data? For example, doctors' appointments on business assets while remote working. Anything that you can share there?
Yeah, well, I mean, typically if data is shared on your desktop laptops, we don't have any ways of stopping administrators to see what's going on. But from a backup perspective, I mean, we're going to back everything up that's on a desktop or laptop and secure it. God forbid somebody did compromise it or get something like that. At least, especially with our file anomaly detection, we will detect if there's been any changes, deletes, or anything like that. So if that were the case, we destroy everything and then restore from a backup.
Okay, great. And then how do you tie in Azure Cloud tenant data into our newly deployed Commvault hyperscale appliances?
So Commvault hyperscale appliances and Metallic are two separate things. So Metallic cannot land data on the hyperscale. It's completely separate. So if you wanted to use their hyperscale from the Commvault side of things, you would have to deploy a Commvault complete, use the hyperscale, and then send your secondary copy to the cloud or vice versa. Metallic can't tie into that yet.
Okay. And then a follow-up question from a customer. How does the air gap work?
So from an Office 365 perspective and endpoint perspective, because it's a different tenant and we're backing up the data from Azure to our Metallic services, is completely isolated from your Office 365. So that means if an attacker ever got into your mailbox, OneDrive, or your Office tenant on the Azure portal side of things, they don't know about your backup software because we have no hooks. There's no software that's installed on anything anywhere, especially for the mailboxes. So by us taking a true backup of that data, putting it on in our Azure data centers where the data is sitting in your tenant, it's completely isolated from attackers. And then on our back end, the way we land the data, it's immutable storage. So if somebody even got into, like, say, one of our media agents or even the CommServe on the Azure side of things, there's no way they can delete the data because it has to have a digitally signed signature, which can never be spoofed in order to delete those mount paths. And we have our file anomaly detection stuff running in the cloud as well, so we can detect if there's been any breaches.
Okay, fantastic. So that's all the questions that have come in through the Q&A. Maybe I'll give Michael and the Metallic team any kind of closing thoughts on your side before we wrap up.
I just saw the question just pop in. saw something about automation. I don't know if it went into the chat.
Is there a way to automate configurations, operations with APIs, or PowerShell command?
Not yet. We're going to have some ServiceNow integration and workflow stuff in a feature pack that should be coming out in a couple months and things like that. So, but right now, no. It's the software's kind of automated already. It's set up. All the schedules are automatic. Especially for Office 365, 3 times a day, every 8 hours. The laptop stuff is every 24 hours right now, which is probably going to change in the future. But it's pretty much a set and forget it. But if you want integration into ServiceNow or a ticketing system or something like that, it's roadmapped. It's roadmapped for the future.
Okay. I think that is all the questions, unless some come in. But Zach, Michael, any kind of closing thoughts?
I'd say get out there, try it, kick the tires. It's easy to deploy. It's fast. It's secure, especially with Office and Endpoint today. I mean, if you want your stuff secure and backed up and recoverable from ever an attack, it's Commvault enterprise grade solution, backup and recovery. It really is. So it works well.
Perfect. Mike stole my thunder. Yep, get out there, try it. We made it as easy as possible to get your hands around it and see the technology. So if you have questions, always helpful, always here to help. Reach out to your CDW rep. We'd be more than happy to help you along with the process here.
Okay. Well, I want to say a big thank you, firstly, to Zach and Michael for running through Metallica, the demo, and some of the other great information that they shared. Big thank you to all the customers that took the time out of their busy schedule. We're very thankful to be able to showcase some of the great partnerships and some of the great solutions that our fantastic partners bring to the table. We have these sessions with partners all the time, so if you're interested, just pay attention or reach out to your account manager to get subscribed to our event list. And just a quick plug to our CDW BTEX event, which is happening next week. So BTEX is a multi-partner, it's our flagship customer event. We'll have over 60, I think now 70 technology partners in attendance. We'll have, we've got over 1,200 registrations from a customer perspective. It's all virtual, obviously, given the, current, health crisis. So if you haven't registered and are looking for more information, you can reach out to me directly, reach out to your account team, but we'd love to see you there. We're really excited to bring more thought leadership and more great solutions out to our customers. So with that, we'll give everybody a couple of minutes back in their day, which is always appreciated. A big thank you, and stay safe. Bye-bye.
Thanks, everybody.